Welcome to your headquarters for knowledge and helpful advice on a variety of topics, all from trusted experts in their fields. It's time for River City Podcast. Heidi Winton-Stahle has had a varied career that spans from ballet dancer to teacher, actor, model, makeup artist, and entrepreneur. After the tragic loss of her husband in 2016, she found energy medicine as a way to recover her lost health and vitality. What she learned through her energy studies completely changed her trajectory and philosophy about life. Today, she's an energy medicine practitioner in RVA, teaching and working through a holistic and more Eastern approach to health and wellness called Eden Energy Medicine. Heidi, welcome to River City Podcast.
Thank you, Jess. It's a pleasure to be here.
I think the first thing we need to go over is just really what energy medicine really is.
Oh, it's such a big question. The type of energy medicine that I practice is Eden method. It's quite a broad collection of energy modalities. It borrows from the Eastern traditions of acupuncture, reflexology, from massage. It's also very much what Donna Eden saw and found to be true, which I'll explain more about in a minute. So it's both very ancient techniques that have been around for thousands of years. And it's cutting edge science too, because right now in this era of quantum physics, our understanding of the quantum world is growing by leaps and bounds. And we're finally able to actually show and prove how these things work, whereas before it was more of a mystery. So we use neurolymphatic points, neurovascular points. We use acupoints like acupuncture does. We are using our hands to draw energy with us. We're using intention. We're using love, and we're moving divine energy through the body. And we also have the ability to test the body to see where the body is and track that progress. And that shows us where we need to go. So ultimately what we're doing is we're trying to get to the root cause of whatever the person is feeling, whether it's an illness or just a malaise or depression or anxiety, whatever it is. And the reason why that works is because in the Eastern tradition, we learn that the energy system of the body is your electrical system, electromagnetic energies and subtle energies. It extends beyond your body, at least as far as your fingertips. So that encompasses your aura. Your body is encased in a plasma bubble, and that energy system is actually what creates the physical body. So we begin as a vibration. The DNA is a vibration. It's an idea. It's a thought. It's the energy of love. It's source energy. And that energy comes in and it forms the physical, right? And the physical really is only, I think it's 99.99% empty space. So everything is vibration. To us, it looks physical. Our experience is that we can touch this desk, we can touch this body. But really what we are is vibration and light and frequency.
Layman's terms, for people like me that have never studied this, the philosophy, as far as I understand it from you, is that negative energy can get trapped in us, and you're helping sort of flush that through so that it doesn't stay stagnant and affect us with illness or things like that, right?
Absolutely. So it actually begins with the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind, I'll just say mind, creates. That's your thought patterns, right? Thoughts are things, just like prayers are things that work. If you get a group of people together and you pray about something, those thoughts are magnified by the group and they go out into the world as vibration. And the intention that that group is holding has an effect on what they're thinking about. So if you're praying for a person, that person seems to get well. And the same thing works for us when we think or pray for ourselves, or we think about what we want to create in our lives. That is our way of manifesting our future selves. So when you have a thought about yourself, let's say you have a thought that you aren't good enough. What happens in your energy system when you're having that thought, your energy system reflects that thought about yourself. So suddenly we are not in alignment with the divine love energy that we are. There's something off. And if that stays off long enough, like if we keep going back to that thought 100 times a day, I'm not good enough, then over time, the way that the energy system is affected starts to manifest in the physical body. It may manifest as an illness, or it probably starts as a symptom, but over time, it will manifest into some sort of illness or symptoms.
If you don't get it out.
If you don't correct it, right? If you don't get it out, if you don't strengthen the central meridian, for example, because that it will affect the central meridian of the body. And that's a very important meridian in the body that feeds all of the other meridians.
I've known therapists who are very cautionary in people telling themselves narratives, saying, I'll never be the same again. I'll never heal. That kind of verbiage. Even traditional therapists will advise that you reverse how you're even speaking that into the universe. And then there's hypnotherapists that even work with people in sports who are maybe stuck and not doing what they are capable of doing physically to get out of a narrative that may be hindering their abilities. This might sound a little out there to a lot of people, but traditional people are following this line of thinking.
Yes.
You're there to really smooth it all out and get it out and bring in the good and physically even help people with issues that are really bothering them.
Yeah. I think to a lot of people, it still sounds like a crazy idea, but there are a lot of books on this subject now. And one of the most prominent people right now doing this work is an author named Joe Dispenza. Now, Joe Dispenza's story is incredible. 30 years ago, he was in a nasty biking accident. He was hit by a truck and he compressed, I think it's 6 vertebrae in his cervical spine in his neck. And the medical doctors told him he will never walk again. And they wanted to put, I think it's some sort of rod. It's like the Remington rod or something like that. Anyway, they wanted to put the rod in his spine. And as a chiropractor, he would advise anyone else to do that. But he stopped and he thought about it and he said, no, I don't want that. In the most devastating moment of his life, he decided that he was going to heal himself. He was going to use his mind to heal himself. And long story short, because you can listen to his interview on YouTube or in the Heal documentary, 10 weeks later, he was walking, and 14 weeks later, he was on a bike. He dedicated his life after that to understanding the mind-body connection. He did that with his mind.
Right. That's interesting. I'm not familiar with him, but I have a friend whose sister was injured in a gymnastics accident, and she was told that she would be paralyzed for life. And she ended up meeting somebody that was really involved in martial arts. And through kind of some of the beliefs in martial arts and some of the things that they practice, she is walking, she is doing martial arts, she's a black belt. And I'd never heard a story like that. Okay, let's go into Donna Eden. For those that aren't familiar, she founded Eden Energy Medicine. Tell us a little bit about her and how this work just came into being, really.
Well, when Donna was a young woman and a mother of 2 daughters, she was very ill. She had multiple sclerosis. It had progressed to the point where her doctors told her it was time to get her affairs in order because she was not going to survive. I think the women in her family have always had the ability to see energy. Now, she just thought it was a normal thing, that everyone could see energy. But as she grew older, she began to understand that it was something unusual. So when the doctors gave her that prognosis, she saw it as an opportunity to take the ball and to heal herself. So she just decided, I'm going to heal myself. And because she could see the energies in her body, she just started working with them with her hands and to see what she could do, if she could move energy around. And over time, she learned how to do it. She learned what was helping. She also studied massage therapy. That's where she began. And then she studied other modalities. She learned over time how to take what she could see and use it to help other people. And she became a highly sought after healer. Now, Donna's still alive, but she's in her 70s now. And she's mostly retired, but she still works with her school. So flash forward a few years, she and her husband, David Feinstein, start a school, and she begins to write out how to and teach people how to replicate what she's doing. And that's how the school began. And now there are people all over the world who are Eden energy medicine practitioners.
Wow. And that is a program that you went through? Is that?
Yes.
Okay. You have become an Eden medicine clinical practitioner.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what programs you went through to achieve that.
Well, Eden has 4 years of training. The first 2 years of training are for certification. And a lot of that time, in addition to learning the protocols, we meet in person for 12 days a year and we work on each other. We get worked on. We have reading and testing to do. And we also have practical exams to show that we have the knowledge of how to work with someone's energies. And then the third year is a really great year because it's a year of mentoring. So each student gets a mentor to work with. They watch you practice. They help you with questions and you learn additional protocols. That's where I am now. I am a clinical energy medicine practitioner.
Let's dive a little bit more into Eden Energy and what it does for people and what it encompasses.
There are 9 energy systems in total that Eden teaches us to work with, and each one is a little different. They're all connected. They all pass energy from one to the other. They each have a special job too. For example, the meridian system. So acupuncturists work with the meridian system a great deal. The meridians are a river of energy in the body. So there are 14 meridians in total that really all complete one circuit in the body. And these rivers are predictable. The energy flows in the same way, along the same path all the time. And there are places in the body where those rivers come to the surface of the skin. And in those places, we can touch the energy, we can access the energy. An acupuncturist could use a needle in that point to affect change in that meridian. Like if that point is not very open, if it's stuck energy in there and things aren't flowing through, they can use a needle to help things move through. And though I don't use needles, I do use my hands. I use essential oils and I use a tiger worm, which is a warming device to access those points. The chakra system, most people have heard of chakras. The chakras are vortexes of energy in the body. There are 7 primary chakras, and there are additional chakras over the head and below the feet. But we mainly work with the 7 that are in the torso and over the head. The 7th one is over the head. And what the chakras do, it's really interesting. The chakras store your life experience. If something traumatic happened to you or something really great happened to you, it's all in there. And sometimes the chakras, they get closed down or they start flowing in the opposite direction if they are tired or if they're not open. So what we do is test them to see if they're open, and we can clear them to get them open because the energy flows from the first chakra, which is down in your pelvic area, up through. The first chakra feeds all of the other ones. So the first chakra has a theme. Every chakra has a theme. The first chakra's theme is about survival and your tribe and your belonging to your tribe. The 7th chakra is the chakra that connects you to source. And that can be God, whatever you want to call it is fine. But that is the part of you that connects to the greater all out there.
That just makes me think that people that are born, maybe adopted, or that have not felt a sense of belonging, if that is the first chakra kind of controlling everything else, that would be somebody that would be ideal for you, I would think.
Absolutely. That may manifest as a first chakra issue. And if that first chakra isn't open, as I said, the rest of them aren't getting fed the energy that is possible.
And then the other thought would be, which you and I have talked about and both had our experiences in, unfortunately, is grief. Because that, even if you always felt a sense of belonging and tribe, if you lose somebody from within that, that is so significant, I would imagine that would really throw off everything.
Absolutely. And I personally had a pretty bad grief experience that actually is what led me to energy medicine. And I do believe that I was led there. I think every system in me was off. And over those first 2 years, I watched things come back online, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. It just opened my mind so much to what reality is.
What a great analogy. Mine, when I went through the grief I had, which was a compounded one of a father and a stepfather within a year, it was like there was this chalkboard that used to be in my brain that was written out all the answers. If somebody asked me a question, the answer was there. And my chalkboard just was completely blanked out. I couldn't even, if somebody said what day it is, I wouldn't know. I couldn't answer anything. I wish I had known you then, because I could have really used your help. Let's talk about how energy medicine differs from acupuncture, chiropractics, and even Reiki.
I have personally had experience with all three of those. I'll start with acupuncture. I went to see an acupuncturist about 11 years ago, really just out of curiosity. I credit my acupuncturist for my pregnancy. It was right after that I got pregnant and stayed pregnant. I'd had 3 miscarriages before then. And her name is Christina Aschenbach, and her business is called Essential Acupuncture. She's here in Richmond. And she's a lovely lady, and we had good chats about the grief too. So after my husband passed away, I went to see her about the grief because I wasn't getting better. The acupuncture really did help. It started my system working again. Eden is similar in a lot of ways, or energy medicine in general is similar in a lot of ways. We don't use needles, but as I said before, we use our hands. We can use essential oils. We use crystals. We use magnets. It's maybe a little more user-friendly. The training itself isn't as in-depth as an acupuncturist. There is plenty of training beyond what I've done out there that I plan to do. So I'm actually working with one of the Eden Energy Medicine teachers right now who is also an acupuncturist, and she's teaching us how to use the acupoints. So I'm learning more about the acupuncture point of view, but it's very similar. Chiropractics, I have a chiropractor. I've been seeing him for years too, and he has really helped me. Buford Chiropractic is where I go. And chiropractics is more about moving the bones to help energy flow through the nerves, because the nerves feed not only the skin and your senses, but the nerves feed energy to every organ in your body. If there's a blockage in the spine, the energy can't get through the nerves. So that's the basis of acupuncture. But acupuncturists also have a lot of other modalities at their fingertips that they can add. My experience with Reiki is pretty slim. I've had a Reiki session. I know several Reiki practitioners. I think it's a wonderful modality. And again, you can take it as far as you want to. It's more passive though, from what I understand. So there isn't a lot of hands-on stuff. It's more of working in the field over the body and asking for whatever is ready to shift to be allowed to shift. So there is less maybe intentionality about it. Reiki seems to be more hands in the field type of work, asking for whatever is ready to clear to move.
Yeah, where you're really digging in there and manipulating, for lack of a better word, that energy intentionally.
Yes. We begin with the intention of the client. I add my intention on top of that because, of course, we can move energy with intention alone. But then with Eden, I can ask the body what it needs. And that is what I do. So I don't do what I think I need to do. I do what the body tells me it needs. I can assess whether a meridian has too much energy flowing through it. Imagine a highway that has a traffic jam. So that's what too much energy looks like. The energy can't get through, so it's all locked up behind the block. Or not enough energy, which means that maybe the meridian before it isn't feeding it enough energy, because maybe that's the one that has the block. So I can assess whether a meridian has too much energy or not enough. And then we look at the full picture of that, and then I know what to do and where to go.
Well, speaking of that, can you give us an idea of what a session looks like?
With a new client, I start with a health history review, which includes a conversation about what's happened in their life, what medications they're on, what surgeries they've had, anything, any trauma, sexual abuse, anything like that that might affect the energy system. So that gives me an idea of what to look for. And then I can take the symptoms that they have or whatever they're feeling, even if it's just as simple as, I just feel tired all the time, and start forming a picture of what might be going on in the body. And then we talk about health goals, and I show you some simple home care to get you started on your healing journey. I make sure that you feel heard, that you feel valued, and that you feel important, because I know that in this world, so often people don't get that reinforcement. And it's so important. Just loving somebody and listening to someone is so important to someone's healing. So that's a big part of what we do too. I am of the opinion that if you were born, if you are here, that you are meant to be here, that God intended you to be here, or source, or whatever that energy is, and that you are of value just by being here. It isn't about what you do, what you accomplish, how much money you make. You are loved. Right?
Well, and I would imagine giving someone that feeling also helps open them up to receive what you're about to do.
Absolutely, because they feel the love and they trust. And there's got to be that relationship of trust between a practitioner and a client. If you don't have that feeling of trust with your practitioner, go to somebody else. Ideally, sessions last 90 minutes. They are hands-on with your clothes on. They are very calming and very relaxing. Energy medicine puts you into a slower brain wave, and it brings coherence to the waves of energy in your heart and in your brain. And that's where healing happens. Just like in REM sleep. When you're in REM sleep, that's when your body is able to heal. Usually after a session, you sleep really well too.
I did.
Yes, you did. In each session, we identify a focus, an intention. I also ask that when we start, that you imagine your perfect health, perfect life, everything that you wish you had. I ask you to imagine that you have it right then and there. And it's a really interesting thing, because when you do that, your energy system and all of the chemistry in your body immediately begins to reflect as if it's reality right now. And then when I'm testing your body, it shows me what's having a hard time keeping up with that idea. And that's what I treat.
How many sessions in your experience does it take for this to start really showing its effects?
One.
Yeah.
And it really depends on what you come in for, how much you're dealing with. So symptoms become illness, and illness can snowball over time. If you never really get to the root cause of what's causing the symptom or the illness, then as you get older, things snowball. What I'm trying to do is get to the root cause, identify the root cause. Where did this start? How did it start? Where was your pain? Where was your sensation? And be a detective to find out if there was an event at which point this began, or a time period in your life where it began, because it could have started when you were 3 years old. You could have been dealing with things all of your life. So it really depends on what you come for, how many issues you're dealing with, how much home care you are able or willing to do, and really the state of your consciousness when you arrive. So some people come in and they have been very conscious about what they eat. They're very conscious about what they think about, what type of work that they do. They have goals, they have dreams, and they've really been focused on their inner world as well as their outer world. They're in touch with their bodies. And usually for those people, things move pretty fast and they're able to feel things right away. For someone who isn't there yet, it'll take longer, but it can still happen.
Who would you say is your ideal client?
Women tend to be more open to the idea of energy medicine and of having this experience, but it's equally beneficial to men and to children, as long as you are there voluntarily. If someone is telling you to go to have energy medicine done, but you're not into it, it's not worth your time. It begins with you and your mind and what you wish for yourself. Ultimately, you are the one who's going to heal you. I am a facilitator. People who consider themselves to be spiritual, health conscious, who understand that they are more than their physical body. People who are curious about energy medicine and other levels of being. These are all people who probably really would resonate with energy medicine.
And probably people that are already involved with a regular chiropractor or doing acupuncture or Reiki because they are clearly already of the understanding. And I feel like all of those really would go well together.
Oh, they do. They do. I find that when you're trying to heal something, especially if it's stubborn, if it's chronic, if it's been around for a while, it's a great idea to use several modalities: massage, chiropractic, acupuncture, energy medicine.
What services do you offer? Because it's not just one thing for all.
I provide energy coaching, which is something that can be done online, remotely. We still would begin with a health evaluation, and we would do together energy medicine just remotely. So I stay with you online, and I'm doing it, and I'm intending for you, and you're intending for you. And it works really well. I actually did this recently with one of my family members who was diagnosed with a type of cancer. And even just that, the little bit that we did, I think we did maybe 2 or 3 sessions on a Saturday while she was waiting for her insurance company to approve her next series of procedures. Even the little bit that we did helped her to sleep better, helped her to feel better, and it calmed her mind because she was nervous.
That really opens up the opportunity for people that aren't local to Richmond to be able to do some work with you.
Absolutely.
I'm going to send your information to my uncle in Montana.
Okay.
So people can do this remotely with you. And then what else?
And then in-person sessions. So hands-on. We're in the same space. I can feel your energy more deeply. You'll feel energy moving through your body. An hour and a half is what I recommend, especially if you're trying to heal from something. Maybe once a week if possible. If you can't do once a week, that's okay. Do what you can. I also offer 60-minute sessions and 45-minute sessions. And a 45-minute session is really an energy clearing. You can come in your lunch break and do general energy organization, and you will feel better.
So ideally, I would be coming to you for 90 minutes until I am really feeling things flow and things are good, and then maybe check in with you occasionally for a shorter session.
Absolutely. And the other part of what I do for you is I teach you how to do some of these things for yourself. Because if you can go home and do a few exercises that you know you need and check in with your own self, you'll know what to do. You won't have to come see me all the time. The idea is that you don't have to come see me all the time.
I was told the same thing from a hypnotherapist that I told you about. The one session I ever had with him, he said, you can get to a place where you can put yourself in this place. And I thought, yeah, I'll never be able to do that. And in my subconscious, it started to happen very organically where when I would be in a moment of stress, I was able to bring myself, I call it my little floaty cloud place, but I could bring myself there without trying to. Something about him doing it once with me opened up that doorway.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing this is the same. And I'll tell everybody too a little bit about my experience. As we kind of wind down, I did see Heidi a few days ago and had a couple issues. Have never done this. This is a totally new concept for me, although I've done chiropractor. I'm totally open with acupuncture, although I've never done it. I'm open, but I knew nothing. I would equate it to what it must feel like for people that have meditated for 90 minutes or have done a hypnotherapy session or have just been at the pool under the sun for 90 minutes. It felt so relaxing. And when I left, I just had a lightness to my step that I have never really felt. It's almost like I lost 50 pounds in how I walked and how I flowed through the rest of the day and how I slept that night. And it has lasted all week. So I really believe in this now. Not that I didn't, but I just didn't know. So Heidi is phenomenal. I highly recommend that everybody jump in and at least do that first 90 minutes and see what you think, because I feel like it's going to be a game changer. Whether it is for trauma, whether it is for whatever kind of blockage anybody might have. Tell us how they can find you, because I'm sure everybody now is like, how do I get in?
You can find me on my website, which is elementalhealing-va.com, or you can text me at 804 888-921-9235.
Wonderful. And so for people that are a little bit on the fence and they maybe are like me where they haven't heard of this before, but they're curious, is there a way they can initially get some information just to learn more?
Absolutely. If you go to my website, you'll see a button for book a free consultation. We'll have a conversation. You can tell me what's going on. You can have an opportunity to get to know me a little bit and decide whether you want to move forward or not. I am perfectly fine giving you information. I love this work. I'm so passionate about this work. If I'm not the right person for you, I am happy to help you find someone who is, or maybe it's another modality. So part of my job is to go around Richmond and meet all of the other people who are doing something related to what I do, get to know them. I'm building relationships with those people so that I can refer you to someone that I trust.
Heidi, we appreciate you coming in and educating us a little bit and giving us hope for nice energy flow to take us through the rest of our lives.
Well said. Thank you so much. I enjoyed being here.
Thanks for listening to River City Podcasts. If you're interested in setting up a podcast for your business, go to rivercityconsulting.com.